Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to see in Power Automate how we can retrieve more than 5,000 items from a SharePoint list. So if you see in my screen, we have a list called threshold limit, and it consists of 5060 items. So we should be aware at first instance, like we cannot query more than 5,000 items in one go because there is a threshold limit set by SharePoint online sites where we cannot query more than 5,000 items in one go. So how to achieve that? How to achieve that? In Power Automate. So let's quickly check that. So here, let me quickly create one instant cloud flow. Mm, get more than 5k items. Okay. So here, HTTP, maybe get items. So get items. This is my thing, and if I just select that site and I select the SharePoint list threshold limit, and so this is the modern editor. In fact, okay. So if you see the filter query order by top count, let's say if I'm putting 5060 top count here and saving this, and once it's saved, let me run. Let me check if I'm able to get all these 5060 items. It's ready, and let me test this. So clearly it says there is some error. Since I have used 5060 count, it has failed. It has failed. It will not allow. It will not allow for us. Uh, because it clearly says if you could see the template operation is prohibited because it exceeds the list view threshold. So in such scenarios, how to overcome this? So that is the main intention of creating this video. So basically, let me go back and edit this with normal editor. Okay. So now since it has failed, now let's see how to overcome this. And so basically, in this get items, the first thing I would like to to have the highest ID of that specific list to know like what is the number of items in that list. So to do that, let me query this threshold and give a filter query where ID is greater than 0 and ID is in descending order. So what it does, top count is 1. So what it does, it queries the last most item of this list. With that, we can get the ID of that last most item. So if I test this, so it has given output, and if I see the output over here, if you could see, yeah, so it has queried only one item, and that one item is with item ID 5060. So we can see like, yeah, this way we can query the ID of that specific item 5060. Now let me quickly store this ID somewhere. So for that, I'll just simply give initialize variable. So here in the variable, I'll just put it like highest ID, and let me make it as integer. Sorry, integer, and let me set it over here. I'm setting the highest ID with. So remember, this we are getting as an array object, and since it will only query one item, so from that one item, I'm just going to assign the highest ID, and as soon as I just select the ID of this element, it will take me in for each loop. So if I select, if you can see, yeah, apply to each, it has come. So apply to each, and value is nothing but it's the list of items from here. So of course, since we are giving top count as 1, it will only have one item, and it will iterate through that item and set the variable with highest ID this. So now we have the highest ID. Now let me also create a variable with counter. So here, if you could see, I have a counter and integer. The counter starts with 0. Now I need to have a loop running. So that is nothing but do until. So it's a kind of while loop. So here, if you could see, this do until has some configurations. So by default, it says it will only allow 60 times run. So if anything you are doing, if any case, like the loop is crossing the 60 count, this will get expired. The same way, it has a time limit as well. PT1H means the whole process has to complete in 1 hour, or else it will make this timed out. So we can increase based on we think like how much would be the items in our list and what would be the general time it will be taking to complete the whole batch call. So basically, the way we are going to achieve this is we are going to do a batch call. So let's say in our list, if we have 5060 items, so in one call the max thing we can do is 4999 items. So seeing in that way, we have to do two calls. So one call would be 4990 items, and the second call would be the remaining items. With that, we will close the loop. And with that, in two calls, we will have two sets of batch items, and we can make use of it, or we can do any kind of operation on it. Okay. So now, let's say we have the do until ready. I'll make use of this counter. So let's say this counter is greater than or equal to this highest ID, whatever we have got. Set variable highest ID. So let me put this inside int function. So it should be an integer highest ID. Okay, what does this mean? So counter is greater than or equal to highest ID. So let's say when we have our first call, uh, we will have the counter 0, what we have said. So 0 is greater than or equal to the highest ID, that is 5060. No, so that means it's not satisfied. It will go inside, it will run. Then after running, we have to set some value with the counter. I'll show what. Then again it will come and check the same thing. So until and unless it satisfies, the loop will keep running. Now the next call would be getting the items. So get items. So this is my list site, and this is my list threshold limit. And if I expand this, so let's say I want the top count as 2500. So top count I'm just putting as 2500. So basically I want a batch of 2500, let's say for an example, because we have only 5060 items. But yeah, top count always can be kept highest as 4999. So other thing would be ID greater than counter. So basically, this is the trick. So now in the first call, as we have seen, in the first call our counter will be 0. So what we are querying ID greater than 0. So of course it will start from our zeroth ID, that is from the first item of the list, and it will query all 2500 items. Now once we have got 2500 items, within these items whatever I have got, I want the highest ID, such that once I have the highest ID, in the next call I can make use ID greater than that highest ID. So what did I mean by that? I mean by that, let's say in the first call ID is greater than 0 and top count is 2500, and I have got all 2500 items in this in this call, and somewhere I can make use of it in any way, or I can store in a variable. Now, so let's say I have all 2500 items. So what would be the highest ID? So highest ID would be 2500 of that item. Let's say for an example, if there is no items with deleted field, So this would be my ID 2500, which would be my topmost ID. So in the next call, I need to just simply do ID greater than 2500, and it will get my next set of 2500 items. So how to get that? Simply we can make use of operation called select. That operation block select. So select is basically used to make an array kind of thing. So from get items to value, I want to map ID. So I want to get the ID. So this ID I want to map here. So basically, just to test this, the very first flow, just to test this very first flow. So before that, once I have this array set in the select, that is ID, mapping with ID, then I need the I just wanted to show like how that is coming up in this select field, how it's displaying up. So just to do that, let me as of now let me put count as 1. So it means it will allow only one loop, and after that it will terminate. Since we are not setting this condition at the bottom, let me just make it terminated in one count. So let me test it. So the flow ran successfully. So if you see, we have got 2500 items here, and in the select we have something like this. If I go to last, you could see, you can see like 2000, 2500 is my last ID over here. So basically I want this in another way. I don't want to map in this way. I just simply want to click on switch map to text mode, and here I want to just keep the ID. Now if I run this, I will have a simple array instead of the object array what you have seen earlier. So it has ran. So as I said, it will only allow once. So now if you see in my select, it's a simple array, and the maximum ID is 2500. Now you need to just simply compose, use the compose function, and just simply give max. So max is a formula which expects an array to get the maximum of it. So my array is nothing but select one. So now if I run it, so it has run successfully. Let me check what is coming in my highest ID. So I'm getting the highest ID with this call. With the very first call, I am getting my highest ID, that is 2500. Now since I have my highest ID, I just simply need to update my counter, that variable. So here is my counter. The counter will get updated with compose compose output. Now, so since counter is updated, so let's say in the first call, the counter was 0, it came here, and the counter got updated to 2500. Now it will come over here, and it will again check, like 2500 is greater than or equal to 5060. It will fail. It's not satisfied. It will again go for the second loop. So similar way, there will be a case when the counter will be having the higher value than this, the highest value, and in that case, we can end up the loop. Now, so now let me make the counter with 60 what it was previously, and let me in the get items to make it to make you understand more better way, instead of 2500, let me just make use of 1000 at one call. So now let me run this and show you what is happening. Test, save and test. So it is running. So your flow ran successfully. Let's see how many times it has ran. So it has ran 6 times. Let me show you one by one what is happening. So get items, ID greater than 0, and top count is 1000. If I click on the output, go down, last most item, right from starting. So if you could see, yeah, ID is 1000. So I'm just querying the first 1000 items, and I'm getting as well. So you can make use of it. Let's say somewhere over here. Then in the select, I have got all the IDs from this get items block. Then I'm just getting the highest ID, that is 1000. I'm just setting the counter to 1000. Now it is going to the next block. So next block again, it's checking is 1000 greater than. So basically, if you see ID greater than 1000, it's querying. So if I see the output of this, so if you could see 1001, it started querying from 1001, and it will take me to ID 2000 hopefully. Let me check the last item. So if you could see, yeah, it has queried ID as 2000. So this is the second set of data what you have got. Then I'm just again setting the counter as 2000. Then again it will check if 2000 is greater than 5060. Similarly, this is the third call. Here 3000 items. Then this is the fourth call, and I'm getting 4000 items. Then let me go to the last loop, and here if you could see, I'm getting 5060 items. Now in my counter, I have just updated 5060, and it comes and checks the loop, like is 5060, that is counter, is equal to or greater than the highest ID, that is 5060. It satisfies. So it says, hey, it's been completed. Please close the loop, and it has got closed. So in this way, you have just queried it in batches. So if I'm going to if I edit this quickly, and if my top count, if you see, if I make it as 4999, then it should complete in 2 calls only. So whole process will get completed in 2 calls. Let me test this. So it has ran successfully. If we get inside, as I said, so this is the first call and this is the second call. So in the first call, I have queried and got all the items 4999, and in the second call, I have just queried the remaining ones. That is from 5000 onwards to 5060. This is how we can query more than 5000 items from a SharePoint list via flow. That is all. If you have any queries, please reach out to me in the comment section. Thank you so much.